Hey guys, Jim here from DrinkABeerandPlayAGame. It's a brand new month, which means it's time for a new review for Yokoi Kids. Now, for those who don't know, Yokoi Kids is a Game Boy of the Month club where people will pick a game on the original Game Boy that costs under $10. And they'll do reviews, or blogs, or memories, or just talk about a game that had an impact on them. So this month, they let me pick the game, so I figured, what the hey? Let's take a look at Kicks, the arcade classic. Originally released to arcades in 1981, this game was designed by Randy and Sandy Pfeiffer, was developed by Taito, and published by, well, Taito. It eventually had a ton of different ports, which include the Amiga, the Apple, the Atari 8-bit line of computers, the Atari 5200, the Lynx, the Commodore 64, the FM7, the NES, DOS, mobile phones, and of course today's version, the Game Boy. The object of this game is as simple as can be. You have a stick-like entity known as the kicks inside a giant rectangle, and you have to trap it by hitting a certain percentage point. In the arcade, that could be set by the arcade owner from between 50 to 90%, but on the Game Boy, it starts at 75. Graphically, the game's extremely simple. Luckily, whether you play it on a Super Game Boy, or a Game Boy Advance, or the Retron like I'm doing here, you'll get a little bit of color, but it was designed for the original Game Boy, so it doesn't really technically have any. It does do a good job in differentiating between the two types of lines you can draw and the kicks itself. That's always a plus. Sound-wise, you get a nice tune at the beginning of the game, and you have some nice music if you hit the top 5 scores when you get a game over. But in between, all you get is the sound of the kicks itself flying around and you making the sticks to try to trap it. So as far as presentation goes, not a lot here. It's not about the presentation. Moving on to control, it is as simple as can be. But considering it's on the Game Boy, it's pretty much perfect. So the D-pad moves you around in 4 directions, the A button is used to do the quick line drawings, and the B button's to do the slower line drawings and get you way more points. The button response is quick and accurate. It's so simple that it's hard to screw up, and luckily they did a A+ job with it. Gameplay, like I said, you get a kicks and you're trying to trap it. For the first 4 levels, you have to get 75% with 1 kicks, and it just gets harder from there. Once you hit level 5, then you get 2 kicks you have to trap at 75. Then when you get to level 9, you get back to 1 kicks, but it's up to 80%, and then you go from there. After every 4 levels, you get a little celebratory fireworks show, which is a nice touch. Really, you're just trying to set a high score. Maybe the game has an ending, that I don't know because I am not good enough to get there. This is not an easy game. The kicks is so unpredictable. You just never know whether it's just going to come racing at you to try to kill you, or if it's just going to chill in the corner and let you kill it. Besides the kicks, you have to deal with the sparks that are going around the perimeter of the level. And once you start building the sticks, they actually come out onto the completed ones that you make. At the bottom of the screen is a counter. So when the counter runs out, it'll spawn more sparks. And then you'll have more of a counter, and then when that runs out, they become super sparks. And they become super aggressive, and instead of just going along a set path, they will actually try and hunt you down. Even during the course of a level, the difficulty will just spike right in the middle of it if you're taking too long to finish. It's just such a randomized kind of gameplay that it can either be an extremely easy time or an extremely hard time. Another cool thing about this game is the fact that you have a couple different ways that you can play it. You can take it the more safe route, and you can just try and build up your sticks on the perimeter of the map, slowly trying to enclose around the actual kicks itself. This is definitely the longer kind of gameplay, but it does tend to lend itself to a lot more opportunity to put in the more slow, bigger boundaries to try and get more points within the level itself. Another way that you can play is to just try and capture the sticks. So this is way more risky. You'll be covering at least 80 to 90% of the map instantly, but you also set yourself up to die so much more easily. This extends to the dual stick levels as well, because you can actually finish a level by separating the sticks. So if you're worried about trying to enclose them, it's pretty hard to do with the 2 of them flying around, but it is possible. If you want to try and trap one of them, then that can be an easy way, and you get double the bonus points in the next level if you just do it normally. So that's always cool. It's nice that this game varies up the gameplay, and it can really make it your kind of game how you want to do it. When you have the dual sticks, it actually gives you 1 bigger kicks and 1 smaller kicks. So I typically tend to try and catch the smaller kicks, but the big one's always around it, so good luck trying to pull this off. I found myself having trouble around level 10, even on my best gameplay session. This isn't easy, it's going to take a lot of skill. One thing I will say about this game that I like is the fact that you can start a line going slow, but you can abandon that and start to go fast if you think you're about to die. That's a nice touch in there, which if you're trying to go for high scores, it's maybe not the best thing to do, but if you're trying to survive and keep playing and playing and playing, it's nice to have that option without being instantly punished. It's just a really playable game overall, and it's one that I do have a lot of fun with. When it comes to originality, there is nothing like it at the time it came out. And even today, there's really not that much like it. It's such a unique kind of entity. Now, a little later, I'll talk about a game that I played that was like this eventually on Windows, but everything that's like this stemmed from this. Ton of points there for originality. As far as replayability goes, it's basically infinitely replayable. So maybe it has an ending, maybe it doesn't, but no two game sessions will ever be the same because of the randomized nature of the kicks itself. And when you have two kicks rolling around, holy crap, how can you predict any of that? When it comes to beer, you really need to have your wits about you with this game. If you get drunk, you're going to make a lot of mistakes early on. You're going to do that sober, but if you're drunk, just throw it out the window. If you have to drink a beer with this, I would say keep it something with a smaller alcohol content. So I'm going to go with the Schafferhofer Grapefruit. It's certainly a tasty beer, but the alcohol content's in the low 3s. You can drink a few of these and get that nice grapefruit flavor in your mouth without getting overly drunk. So at the end of the day, what do I think it kicks? Well, it's a lot of fun. I will say though, this game can get pretty annoying if you've been playing it a lot and you don't have a lot of patience. So I realized as I was trying to learn the game and the ins and outs of it, if I died really early on, I would just reset it. Like, it would just be a waste of time. Even though I've had gameplay sessions where I'd lose 2 lives really quick and then hold on to my last life for like ages, levels and levels and levels. So it's a perfect game on the go for the Game Boy because a gameplay session can last like 3 minutes, or it can last a half hour. It really depends on A, your luck, and B, your skill. It's on a ton of different consoles. It's super common, and you know what else? It's super cheap. I got my copy here for less than $5, so you can find it for even cheaper than that on eBay. It's really up to you if you want to go out and find it and if it looks fun to you. I remember when I was a kid, my friend had a game that was kind of like this on Windows, and basically instead of the kicks in the middle going all around, it would be bouncing balls. But you still had to block them off or trap them in order to clear the levels. And I loved it. But I never had a game of my own like that until about 20 years later when I took a flyer on this guy, and it turned out to be the same gameplay style, and I absolutely loved it. Just remember, it's not the easiest game in the world, and it will take you skill and it will take practice to hit those later levels. And that kicks is so random, it stays infinitely replayable, so I really don't see any downside considering how cheap it is to just giving it a go. So if you've never played it before, if it interests you in any way, I can't recommend it enough. That'll do it for today, guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Let me know below if you've played kicks before and what version's your favorite. And you know what? If you enjoyed this video and you aren't yet, why not subscribe? It'll help the page. As always, we have other hardware review videos, video game reviews, and we're the home of the Power Hour podcast, also on iTunes. Till next time, guys. Cheers.